Hi, friends. I'm host Eric. I'm the host talking to famous people, and a guy who's live streaming. Why are you live streaming, Eric? I don't fucking know. Just my head is running so many circles that I just I just can't focus on anything else. So I just decided to live stream. I can't pay attention to anything because I keep having all these thoughts circling around my head. Rachel and I drove and looked at a few prospective fixer-upper rental property things. Um, Two of them look very promising, but I keep trying to kind of do all the math in my head, but it's kind of impossible because we're not exactly sure how much rent we're gonna get for a given thing. We're not exactly sure how much additional money we have to put into something to get it fixed up and ready to rent, etc. And I want to think it all out or ideate it all out, but yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna have Christmas lights put up for sure. In fact, we hired somebody to do our Christmas decoration. So our house is gonna look pretty Christmas sweet, let me tell you. We're gonna decorate our own tree. But the outside decorations, the wreaths and shit, we hired somebody else to do. I'm gonna put up one string of lights along the top eave myself. Other than that, the lady's gonna do it. And occasionally, let me just say, Rachel and I are both very excited for you to see our Christmas decorations. And for you to ride with us in our little wilderness car. Which, ultimately, we're almost certainly going to end up selling. We're glad to get a last hurrah out of it before we sell this house. There are a lot of things to appreciate about this house. A lot of things I'm going to miss about it. It's a brilliant house, but it's all house, no cattle. Looking at all the Zillow lists and stuff, we should be able to get back out of it the same thing we put into it. So great. If we can do that, fantastic. When people do blank, it drives you crazy. Why are we going to sell? Because we learned that some people bought the hill across the street, even though we tried to buy them, were somehow mysteriously unable to do so. And they're going to start taking contractor bids for building a house there in the spring, could be breaking ground early summer. We need to get this house sold before then, because first of all, we do not want to live here if there's a house above us on the hill right here looking directly into our windows. Second, we do not want to live here if we're going to be dealing with construction noise for a year. And third, we thought we had done everything in our power to prevent that from happening. It's not right next to our windows, it's across the street, but it's above us, and where they're likely to put it is going to look directly into our second story windows. Why are we going to sell the little car? Well, the little car is perfect for this house. There are a lot of national park roads and shit you can drive around on. But if we end up moving to this one place in um, Lush Meadows, which is pretty close to us, I could conceive of us keeping a little wilderness car then. I didn't offer them any. I wasn't able to offer anything. That my realtor couldn't figure out who was even selling it. It wasn't apparently for sale. These people probably bought it before I looked into buying it. It's possible that they live in Mexico. I invited them to our Christmas party on the 9th, and they said, we'll be in Mexico then. They could be going on vacation there, or they could live there. Regardless, they don't live up here now. So I think Lush Meadows, if we live in Lush Meadows, then we're still close enough to these trails to justify having a little car. If we were to purchase a plot of land that has multiple acres, and then we might need a little car. But what we're envisioning doing here is, well, we looked at this property in Lush Meadows that's in need of a fair amount of work, but that's with a little bit of work with some work into it, it's a gorgeous house, you know. And they're selling it at 209. It's like when I look at it, I'm thinking, shit, this place is fixed up. I mean, the thing that's best about this house is the brilliance of the design of this house. Everything is done so intelligently. And we're unlikely to get another house that's this intelligently put together. But we love the house, but there's nothing else about this place that we really actually love or particularly like, you know. We got a barking neighbor's dog. We got neighbors too close in all directions. We moved to one of the more high density housing areas in Mariposa because we came from LA, so we thought, oh, this is great. Look how few neighbors we have. Well, we want even fewer. We don't want to see our neighbors from our house or our land, really, you know, ideally. We looked at a fixer-upper in not the greatest neighborhood in Mariposa, although it's not like a slum or anything, but it's a fixer-upper on 5 acres down off Old Highway, $150,000. I wouldn't want to live down there because it's gonna get too hot in the summers, but it seems like a dream rental for a certain kind of person, you know. Lush Meadows, aka Hairy Women. Listen, Boba Fett, Rachel's maiden name means hairy woman, okay? But from now on, thanks to you, and you're getting 1 wonder point for this, I'm going to tell her last name means Lush Meadows. So that's 1 wonder point for you, Boba Fett. Good job. No, Rachel. Think about this Lush Meadows house. One thing we need to do is pave the driveway because it's like this incredibly washed out, rutted dirt driveway. But I mean, it's got a hell of a lot going for it, you know. It's a beautiful house. It's just beat up, you know. 209. The thing is, of course, in Mariposa County, there are not a lot of homes for sale. There are not a lot of homes in the county. So you kind of gotta both be patient and also recognize when you got what you're looking for and pull the trigger. That one for 209 at West Meadows, My realtor's gonna call me tomorrow. I was just texting him. I want to go see the inside of it. I want to ask some questions about it. I'd like ideally to go see it with him and his guy who does fix it up work for people like me, and get some sense of how much it's going to cost to get it looking good again. Yes, Ruben R. I am learning the ways of the Tao. Real estate involves a lot of the ways of the Tao. Little doubt about that. But we looked at this one for 170 also that just looks like it just screams rental. It screams adorable little rental that I could see myself renting if I were renting a place. It's on a wonderful, decent sized chunk of land, although that is going to shrink. I'm not sure how much. There's a caveat on it that says the property lines are being redrawn, which will, yeah. You need to constantly be optimistic while continually keeping in mind everything that might go wrong. So that's a pretty big challenge for a lot of people, but not for me. I'm an expert at that. This weekend's been a little bit frustrating maybe for me, or like, in part because, of course, this Thanksgiving weekend, my realtor took off. He's just like, I'm not working this weekend, which is fine. I'm not one of those guys who needs his realtor to be available 24/7, instantly respond to everything. But I feel impatient to move forward. I did talk to Delilah today, and she and I are in full agreement about this plan. She seems pleased with it. She's ready to move forward on it too. So, yeah. And I'm still sort of processing how huge this is in terms of not just what we're doing, etc., but in terms of my self-concept. I was saying to Rachel as we drove back here, that I feel capable and competent to manage things for the first time since my dad died, really. I feel like I have a plan of action. I know what I'm going to be doing for the upcoming years in terms of generating revenue and stuff. And I feel like I've got a good, safe, dependable plan to grow rather than shrink the estate. And I'm kind of proud of myself, but I also realized I felt the sense of like take that, Dad. Obviously my dad didn't respect me much at all. Didn't think I was capable of handling even the estate. That's why I made Delilah the trustee. But I guess felt some sense of, he must have felt conflicted about it because he left me with power of attorney over my mom, which would have allowed me to change the trust if I wanted to. So, regardless, I imagine my dad, after we get all this shit rolling, set up, and assuming there aren't any catastrophic failures along the way that ruin the whole idea or something, I could imagine my dad going, okay, all right, in heaven, you know. But it took a long time for me to transition from, well, I guess this is our life from now on, just kind of sitting around here and miggity meowing, and while concurrently worrying about our long-term sustainability. Spent a long time doing that before this plan came into clarity, and having a singular vision of what I'm going to do is just, it's kind of a brand new experience for me. And to have like a big plan, it's like a big plan, right? Involving massive life decisions that will impact the well being of my family for the rest of our lives. Obviously, my initial response to that is, how the fuck am I supposed to be able to do this? I don't know what to do. But, you know, just a conversation with David put me on the right track. He's like, you should just buy fixer-uppers and fix them and rent them. I was just like, yes, we should. Why didn't I think about that? It's amazing how much of a difference one little thing can make, right? I'm sucking from the wrong end. No, I'm sucking from the wrong end. And that's the beautiful thing about NI. It's like, I've heard so many words from so many people, but in a few instances, I can think of the fact that those words had massive impact to me, vastly beyond all the myriad words around those words combined. Like when my AA sponsor told me there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. 5 words. Extremely powerful 5 words. It makes more sense to buy a fixer-upper than it does to buy a plot of land and build on it. My original thought of, hey, we'll get a plot of land because land's kind of underpriced, put a house up on it, sell it, get the value added. Well, what I wasn't considering is to build a new house, you have to do building permits, you've got to get septic dug, you've got to get a well dug, you've got to, etc. It's a much more intensive process. And since I can't save money on the fact that I'm a contractor, for example, or I'm a well digger, then it just doesn't make much sense to do development that's in that way. The profit you're going to take on it, once you factor in realtor fees especially, doesn't justify the time and investment. So I mean, that's a great idea, Ruben. The thing is about up here, one of the reasons why I like this plan is so many people are already grandfathered into Airbnb up here. They put a moratorium on it. The fact that a large percentage of properties that might be rented or rented as vacation rentals means the demand for month-to-month rentals is whatever it is, but the supply is lower than it should be. So we can get in Mariposa County, like whatever the home value you need to get in LA to get $2,000 a month, let's say $500,000, you can get the same $2,000 a month for substantially less home value here. We may not get a full $2,000 a month for every property, if it's, especially if we pick up like a 2-bedroom. But if the properties are cheap enough, then it still works out. Erase all the windows from the blueprints. Erase all the windows from the blueprints. This is a windowless house. The realtor would put, instead of windowless house, they'd put excellent darkness for sleeping. Yeah, it's like there's one place like that. It's like down your own country road. What they meant was the road was garbage. Which is what I want. A country road. Old Highway is a great road, but the third place we looked at, the one that's 150 on 5+ acres, we didn't get to go onto the property to look at it because people looked to be still living there. But that's like way down there, down Ben Hur, and it's really rough road the last stretch of it, and then it turns into dirt road, and it's like you could hardly have a worse commute from someplace in Mariposa to any place else in Mariposa without being in fucking LaGrange or something. Anyhow, but still, it's worth taking a look at it. $150,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It needs to have the roof fixed, obviously, because there's a tarp over the roof. But definitely worth looking at, finding out just how bad the repairs are going to be. And, in some sense, you're also doing the community a service by taking these rundown places and making them look nice again. So, those things are occupying my thoughts a lot. I want to go back to the title. When people do meow, it drives you crazy. What drives you crazy when people do meow? The first thing that comes to mind for me is when people don't answer the question I ask. It drives me crazy. Like, so do we know exactly when this is going to arrive, or is there wiggle room? Is it vague, or what? When we ship these things, it's a complicated process. That's not what I asked you. That sort of thing is annoying to me. And people answer questions I don't ask or don't answer the questions I do ask. Because the reason it's annoying is when people ask me questions, I always answer them. If I don't answer it on point, I'll either make a kind of a joke answer or I'll say, I know this isn't addressing your point, but here's my response. Then they're welcome to ask me why I'm not addressing their point if they want to. Which point I say, well, I mean, if I'm not answering their question, it's probably because it's a question about my opinion about somebody else. Those are the kind of questions I tend not to answer, especially if it's somebody who's on the in, like somebody's a regular around here. What do you think about Boba Fett banning those people when he had the ranch? I go, well, I think that he banned people when he had the ranch. But I mean, well, that's what I'm saying in response. It bothers me when people don't answer the question asked to, or when they repeatedly don't answer. Sometimes if they lose the plot halfway through answering it, that doesn't bother me. I agree. If they're trying to answer it but struggling to come up with a good answer, that's fine. I guess the thing that makes me most annoyed is when people are actively attempting to avoid answering my question as though I'm not going to notice that they haven't answered it. It's like, are you trying to trick me? Are you trying to like redirect me away from the information that I actually need to know? Yeah, I don't mind when people struggle to answer a question or don't have a good answer or say I don't know, provided they're attempting to answer the question. I don't like it when people try to direct me away from where I'm asking questions. Well, yeah, that's not good either. But I'm also annoyed when people answer my question with a question. Like, I will answer your question. Answer mine first. Um, for me, also people fishing for compliments or trying to effie steer me or others in super selfish ways, low level manipulation, kind of irritates me. Well, it's bad FE. If it's clear that they're fishing for compliments, it's just bad FE that makes you feel uncomfortable. There was something else that I was going to say that drove me entirely crazy, but it was a variant of this, and I can't quite remember what it was. I I definitely don't like it when instead of responding to what I'm saying, people say something like, "Look, you're getting pretty heated." Okay. You're not being honest, responsive, whatever, which is why I'm getting heated. This was the thing. This drives me absolutely crazy. If I ask a question and somebody says, "Where are you going with that?" The answer to the question should be whatever the answer to the question is, okay? Your answer shouldn't change depending on where I'm going with it. So if you want to piss me off beyond all belief, when I ask you a question, ask me, where are you going with that? Because the truth is, I don't know. I'm I'm asking a question because I need to know what your answer is before I know what to do next, you know? Who's NDT? Nebraska's dumbest teen? Is that NDT? That seems like a good name for him. Where are you going with that? Yeah. That just like makes me want to punch you in the face. Then there are things that irritate me, but that they don't quite drive me crazy. I wish people wouldn't do, but I know a lot of people who I like and respect who sometimes do it, which is to end what you're saying with, if that makes any sense. Or does that make sense? I hate that because obviously, if you already don't know that it makes sense, then what the fuck are you saying? I mean, it depends is the correct answer when it's the correct answer. If you say, do you prefer fish and chips or a Reuben sandwich? I would have to tell you, it depends. It depends on which restaurant I'm at. If I were to go to Birdie's Roadside Cafe, I prefer the fish and chips there, I think. I haven't actually had the Reuben sandwich, I don't believe, there, but their fish and chips are so outstanding that I've had like the best Reuben in the world before, Cantor's. And I guess my point is good Reubens are more common than good fish and chips. The point is, the answer to the question, which do I prefer, a Reuben sandwich or fish and chips, is it depends. Well, because a Reuben sandwich is something I order a lot at restaurants. And I'm a bit of a Reuben sandwich connoisseur, but I also recognize the fact that it's very difficult to get great Reuben, but you can get solid Reubens at a variety of restaurants. On the other hand, there are only a couple of restaurants you can safely get fish and chips at because fish and chips, almost nobody does it well enough to be desirable to eat, more desirable than other things. Well, I can understand saying, does that make sense if you explain something and the other person sits there silently and they're not giving you any cues as to whether they've understood you or not. So, does that make sense? In that case, you're saying, does that make sense to you? That I don't mind, right? What I mind is this FE thing. People say something and they go, if that makes any sense, because it's like they're saying, here, you decide if I'm making sense or not. So I don't mind. Like I will gladly ask you, does that make sense to you? If I've explained something and you're staring at me with kind of like glossed over eyes, I'm going to ask you if that made sense to you. The part I don't like, the thing I don't like more than does that make sense is if that makes any sense. I don't like that expression. If that makes any sense. Well, what happens if it doesn't make any sense? Then do you retract everything you just said or what? So Winston's mom, I think you're talking about the other kind of does that make sense? Sort of. You're saying a person's trying to explain to somebody else what originates as a visual thing in their head. So they're genuinely trying to seek, does that make sense to you? Because I'm translating from visuals to words. That would be that second category of thing. The category I don't like is the FE signaling that I will defer to you as to whether this makes sense. I should just always say when somebody says, if that makes any sense, I should say, it doesn't. So, what's the conditional for if it doesn't make any sense? Yeah. When I was a coach, a debate coach, one of the things that used to drive me crazy was when my debaters would begin their cross fire. This was only in public forum. And begin by saying, "Can I ask the first question?" You just asked a question. Just ask your question. Why did you say meow meow meow? Just start like that. You don't need any permission to ask a question. Nobody needs permission to ask questions. Sorry, Eric. Winston's mom was kind of helping me with possibly moving to the Tennessee area. Well, good for you. Why would you say sorry about that? I hope you do, and I hope you enjoy Tennessee. I hear there's Nashville there. So if you like Nashville, then that's a good reason to go to Tennessee. Additionally, you know what else they have there? The Tennessee Volunteers. The University of Tennessee Volunteer Football Team, basketball team. The Lady Vols, their female basketball team. Oh, Miss Elway, there's no invading on a topic. You know that. The title is just aspirational at best. I think this is a fun topic, so I'm kind of going back to it periodically. But you talk about whatever you want to talk about. After all, you can just type words on the screen. I'm the only one who can actually talk. How could you possibly interrupt me? And besides, I'm interested in that topic as well. Tennessee, you know. Are you prepared to listen to the song Rocky Top that many times? It's one of the safest areas in Tennessee. Is it because they have a lot of rubber padding on everything? Is it because they've made it toddler safe? They've toddler safe to the whole town. Put those things on the doorknobs. What else is Tennessee famous for? Well, it's famous for the Tennessee Valley work, back in the Great Depression. Oh, it's famous for having a lot of double letters in it. I think it has two N's, I'm talking about next to each other. Two N's next to each other, two S's next to each other, and two E's next to each other. It has more than two E's, of course. In fact, I think it has potentially three E's, four E's. How many E's does Tennessee have in it? And can we add another one? These are my questions. Tennessee had the same kind of name quality to it that Mississippi does. Mississippi. Like, that must be an Indian word. You know, we live here near this place called Nippanowangi. I think that must be an Indian word, Nippanowangi. I like it, Nippanowangi. Rolls off the tongue. Doesn't really sound like it's got Latin origins or Germanic, you know. Nippanowangi. Settler's Scrotum Road. If I were going to name a new road around here, I'd want to name it Settler's Scrotum. Or just Settler's Scrot. That way it wouldn't run afoul of the censors on the County Board of Supervisors. Could be Pilgrim's Scrot or Miner's Scrot. Gold Miner's Scrot. A lot of gold miney kind of names for things around here. We looked at a property today on Silver Bar Road. But there's also Road 420. I am so surprised that sign has not been stolen. Old Highway is a great, fun road to go down if you want a scenic drive and like country coolness. Old Highway is great. You get some of the best like rolling hills, agriculture, oak tree kind of scenery in all of California on that road. It's like the properties around that road down the way is a bit, they're big ranches. It's cool. Even down where we drove today, where I took that short of the Little Horse, if you were to look at Talking About Famous People's most recent short right now, you'd see it's a short of a little tiny horse and regular horses. The little tiny horse, it wasn't a baby, it was like a miniature horse or something. Might have been a donkey. But if it was a donkey, it was also a miniature donkey, you know. Anyway, even down there, plots of land are pretty big enough for people to have multiple horses and stuff. I don't want any horses. The problem with having horses is that you have to hold them. That's what they say. People are constantly telling others to hold their horses. I'd say over 99% of the time, between the two options, hold your horses or let your horses go, people are told to hold them. I'm not clear if the problem is the horses are feeling emotionally vulnerable and need some closeness. Is that why you have to hold them? But, you know, if you love somebody, let them go. So my motto is, let your horses go. Don't hold them. First of all, if they're feeling sad, you can just pat them on the head. Okay? You don't need to coddle them. Second of all, give them a carrot or something, But second of all, if by hold you mean like lift up in your arms and not allowed to go anywhere, well, then you're not really respecting your horse. And you're really strong. Even no matter how strong you are, you stand a decent chance of pulling out your back by lifting up a horse. Now maybe that little miniature donkey horse might be able to lift up that one. Even that's probably several hundred pounds. I probably couldn't lift it up, but somebody probably could. Maybe we should hold a horse lifting contest. See who can lift the biggest horse above their head. We can tranquilize the horses beforehand so they don't move around too much while being lifted up. You know how they've got like cockfighting and dog fighting, bull fighting? Why don't they have horse fighting? Two horses battling each other to the death. I guess it might be too difficult to get horses to fight one another. But I bet if you get two stallions lined up and you go separately and tell each of them that the other one has been sleeping with his girl, then you might see some fight in those horses. If we're going to have animals fight against each other, I choose possums. Because they're gross anyway. Ideally, we wouldn't have animals fight against each other as entertainment. But if we must, I choose possums. I mean, insect battles are one thing. I don't mind an insect battle. You can put a battle between a lizard and a spider or something. That's fine. I don't mind that so much. But obviously we shouldn't have mammals fighting each other. And if we absolutely must, it should be possums. We could have mammals fighting non-mammals, like a mongoose versus a snake. But it just seems to me you're putting the mongoose's life at risk for no reason. If you've already captured the snake and the mongoose, you could kill the snake yourself. Just assuming it's a poisonous snake, and even then I'm not sure you gotta kill it, but depends on where it is. It'd be interesting to see a battle between a kingfisher bird and an adolescent barracuda. That'd be a pretty interesting battle. Hi, Rachel. Or like a giraffe versus a squirrel. That would be an interesting battle. Because people think size is important, but it really all comes down to technique. And if the squirrel's enough of a martial artist, I believe he can defeat a giraffe. You know, my cats pit themselves in gladiator battles against mice all the time, but it seems like kind of an unfair matchup. The cats always win, and they don't know when to stop. The ref says, enough, and instead of getting off of the mouse, they kill it. You know, they received multiple warnings from the state boxing commission, but they continue to do it. Rachel and I saw 2 different flocks of quail crossing the road today. Cute little birds. And that's the state bird, you know, California quail. It's kind of surprising quails still exist. These little squat little birds walking around on the ground mostly. They can fly a little bit, but not much. And like running around together in a pack like a school of fish. It's kind of like creak, 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 creak. I don't know what they sound like, but I imagine them all making little noises as they're running around together as a pack. Turkeys, I get. They're also ground birds mostly, but they're large. So, you know, a pack of turkeys, a predator's gonna have to be a little bit careful about dealing with them. You know, like they got talons, they got sharp beaks, and they'll work together as a team. You know, I watched plenty of peacocks drive away coyotes in Arcadia. The coyotes didn't even really think they were possibly a match for the peacocks. Coyotes were maybe hoping to grab a baby peacock, you know. Even though it would seem to me, and probably to you, that a coyote could just jump on a peacock's neck, break its neck, and kill it, no problem. And the only risk it would take would be getting pecked. I'm not sure the coyotes really analyzed the situation adequately. They said, well, those things are as big as we are. Yeah, but they're birds. They got fragile bones. They don't really have any weapons. You should totally try to eat one. I tried to explain this to the coyotes, but they're a stubborn people. All they said to me was, nah, bro. I'm like, but why nah, bro? Nah, bro. All right, fine. You just don't eat the peacocks, though. Just don't eat my cats, though. Don't think that gives you carte blanche to eat my cats. They said, nah, bro. You fucking coyotes. You're dumb as shit. Nah, bro. Okay, I'm leaving. And that's when I just had to walk away. As I walked further and further away from them, I heard a chorus of, nah, bro, getting quieter and quieter in the distance. I really wonder what that thing that was chasing Capillo that one night was. If it was a dog or a coyote. It was one of the two. It sounded like a dog. But given that I didn't hear any clingle clangle of a tag, and it was night, so it's not like anybody was out walking their dog or anything. A dog could have gotten out, but it disappeared super fast. Like I ran around to see what it was, and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't find any sign of any dog or anything. Even though I heard it very clearly chasing and obviously sprinting at full speed, panicked Capio into the cat door. I'm a making pee-pee. Now I'm done with that. So if you would see me, you'd be very glad. And you'd say, hey, good job. Now you're done going poo and pee. And I'd say, yeah, I do. It's always been just you and me. Let's see. Lou, I also am wondering if that makes sense. I did both. First I pooed, but then that didn't take very long. But then I had to wait a while to pee. Yeah, that took a little longer. I don't know. It's like when I'm talking, I'm a little distracted. I'm not really settling in for as quick a pee as possible. Oh, I did. I did make poo first, but that was over fairly quick. And I was sitting there for a long time waiting to pee. Since the pee was the more time-consuming thing to attain, that was what I highlighted. Because it's like, oh, finally I'm going pee. What's with people taking a newspaper to the toilet? I remember hearing about that. I could have taken a newspaper. We subscribe to the newspaper in Mariposa. Not necessarily because we want the paper edition of it, but because it's a paywall on the Mariposa Gazette's website. And I'm just consistently wanting to read articles about local stuff, and I just bit the bullet and subscribed to it. I figured if anybody deserves to have a subscribe to it, it's the Mariposa Gazette. It's California's longest running weekly newspaper. So I can show you the Mariposa Gazette. If you look at some of the headlines. Let's see what we got here. Murder suspect makes court appearance. More details released involving the death of Ahwahnee grandmother. Ahwahnee is another place that's near Nipponiwani. Upheaval. Hospital board medical staff have strong words at meeting. Holidays mean it's time to be vigilant, guard against theft. What else? Obituaries. David Arlo and Flavia Joyce Larson. Dave passed away on October 17th, 2023 in Fresno, California. Joyce preceded him June 26, 2020. So they put both their obituaries now? Okay. NMCHC looking to add more volunteers. North Mariposa County History Center is the NMCHC. A library to host tree trimming event. And look, this is a pretty important page right here. Look at this page. I think you're all going to be interested in this page. This page tells you what's going on. So, December. Craft sale, 1st and 2nd. Craft show, 1st through 3rd. Mariposa mountain riders are having their members-only Christmas party. Not a member yet? No problem. You can sign up ahead of time or on the same day. Please RSVP. Learn and Burn Workshop. Parade tree lighting set. Art Gallery open house. Gold Country Singers concert. It's in Coulterville. Free admission. Santa's coming to the museum. The senior bingo and hall is available to rent. Vets breakfast is monthly. Weekly Civil Air Patrol meetings. The Mariposa Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol meets every Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Mariposa Yosemite Airport Terminal building. Great. Firing range is open. The Mariposa Fishing Game firing range is open the 1st and 3rd Saturday all year. Rifle, pistol, and trap shooting is available. The range opens at 8 a.m. until everyone is done. It is located at 4443 Old Highway Road in Mariposa. We drove by it today. The hospital madness must stop. I'm not sure what all this hospital stuff's about. But there's one hospital in all of Mariposa County. This is Eastern Madera County. Ew, Madera County. Nobody wants to read about Madera. So yes, we get the newspaper. How old are we? But the thing is, it's like you can't subscribe to just the digital thing. Or you can, but it's the same price as getting it. If you live in Mariposa County, it's the same price as getting it. They mail it to you. Are we giving Lou advice about things? Okay, I got 3 words for you, Lou. Naked and afraid. I'm tired, Lou, of you being one or the other or neither. It's time for you to be both. Let me look up here. I already watched you eat. But does she have friends who like to carry around swords or daggers? Who? I want to see what's going on with Lou. What is this whole Lou thing about? I need some any help. I got a gift exchange with friends next weekend. Can buy or make something. Would prefer to make something in the leather. What should I make? Codpiece. Leather codpiece. and embroider on the front of it, "Handle with care." Boom. Question answered. When you ask a question around here, you get an answer. Either codpiece or eye patch or matching codpiece and eye patch. A scabbard? Did somebody recommend she make a scabbard? Then Karma's Pimp asked the very question that needs to be asked. But does she have friends who like to carry around swords or daggers? It's a Yankee exchange type thing, so there's no real way to tailor it to one. I gift give well if it's to a specific person, but if it needs general appeal, apparently I panic. I mean, everybody wants a codpiece. You could, I don't know. Meow. Meow. You can make a stuffed animal out of leather. You just like cut the shape of a cat and then another one and then put a little extra leather so that and you stuff it full of things and sew it all up and all of a sudden you got a leather stuffed animal. Well, I bet you there are people there who have male genitals. I bet you half the people there might have them. In which case, codpiece is perfect. That's what I'm asking Santa for Christmas this year. Except, I do want it to be leather, but I want it to be made out of lamb's skin. Because only a lamb's skin is soft enough for my precious junk. How about leather underpants? You can make leather underpants. You could make a veil out of leather. That's a serious veil. It's pretty tough to see through that one. You could just make a rectangle out of leather, but put a stick on one end of it so it looks like a scroll. And they unscroll it, have embroidered on the leather, "This is your present." What do you think about that? Is it one of those, like keep or steal kind of Christmas party present things? If so, you don't want yours to be constantly unstolen. Well, obviously, Lou, you need to line the leather underpants with vinyl. Makes them a lot more comfortable. Now, Lou, if you were like me and you lived someplace where there's a lot of clay, instead of making something out of leather, you could do some homemade ceramics like I did this morning. I'll show them to you. Here they are. This is, look at that. Baked so well, I dropped it on the ground, it didn't even break. That's how sturdy my ceramics are. The only thing is, what I realized is to get this looking proper pH, there's one more thing I need to do. Okay, so let me put this down and I'm going to do it. God damn it, stop falling off the rock. This is your platform. Let's turn on some lights here. Get some extra lights. That one is good. Get some even extra lights, okay? Like, for example, this one. Look, now we have enough lights. There. Now it's done. Now you can see the beautiful artwork. There. These two are looking at each other. They're concerned about something. They're mad at this guy. He's sad, you can see. He's a little bit sad. These two guys are a little bit mad at him. See? You know, those guys are mad at him and he's sad. And they don't have to be on this rock. Also, we could turn the rock over if we wanted to. This one's like, you've been lost in the desert for days. We've been worried sick about you. That's what this art project conveys. I think that's what it's called. You've been lost in the desert for days. We've been worried sick about you. So, obviously, I'm winning the Nobel Prize for Sculpture this year, thanks to my groundbreaking work in ceramics. You need more food, Capito? Here. And yes, I used kind of a secret special technique to do that, to make it work so well. I mixed the natural clay from the house mixed the natural clay from the house with some caulk, creating a clay that took considerably longer to cook, but that is much more sturdy once it's cooked. It's just some random thing I tried out, right? Well, guess what? It worked. Now, the next thing I need to do is figure out a way. I'm going to put some coloring besides white and clay colored into the mix. My attempt to glaze it with paint afterwards didn't work so well. When short mouth tell you, you can't hear. When long mouth tell you, you go feel it, feel it. It's a strange aphorism. I don't know what to make of it. How old was that newspaper I showed? It came within the last week. I remember when that news anchor committed suicide on live TV. I think he's sad because he got in trouble. He is a pair of balls. Unfortunately, they fused together into one. He's a little ashamed of himself for that. Cockadoodle could be a place where you go make drawings with cock guns. That's a good point. Flow state. What did that say? Too late now. It's disappeared. That's the problem with notifications when you're wearing glasses. By the time the glasses go on, the notification's gone off. Just went away. He ate his twin like me. Well, a lot of people eat their twins. In the womb, I mean, you know. That's the only time they can get away with it. I thought you said we were having twins. I did too. I guess I must have misread that first ultrasound. There's only one very fat child in there now. Macaulay Culkin. You know what? Macaulay Culkin is a good name for a hotel. You want to call into Taylor's channel and link us all up? I could go participate in Taylor's stream, I suppose. It's not the worst idea. I end this stream, go participate in his for a bit, then wrap up the streaming for a while. Just assuming he lets me in, you know. It's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's mix it up. I love you all very much, and see you later on Taylor's stream.